everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review on the Fenty Beauty Bomb Posse eyeshadow palette. If you do want to see a review and a demo, then please keep watching. As a huge favor, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment anything down below. I greatly appreciate it. I read all the comments and I will do my best to reply back. This palette retails for $48 on Sephora's website and Fenty Beauty online. I do want to read a little bit about this palette on Sephora's website. That's where I purchased mine. The snappable eyeshadow formula you know and love in a limited edition mega size featuring 12 shades featuring Fenty Glow, Fussy, and Hot Chocolate. This palette features a range of look for all skin tones, from a subtle everyday look to an extra AF show-stopping glam. These shades will deliver it all. It's packed with matte, shimmer, and metallic finishes that are loaded with rich, smooth, and blendable color. Plus, it has a long wear and crease-resistant formula. Here's a closer look at what the packaging looks like. It says Fenty Beauty. On the back of the eyeshadow palette, you have the shade names and a picture of the eyeshadow. There's a little description about the palette. Down here at the bottom, it states it was made in the USA, and this is a 12-month shelf life. At the top of the packaging, it says Bomb Posse, and then down at the bottom, you have the list of ingredients. So let's open this up. Wow, this eyeshadow palette is very small for $48 compared to the Too Faced Peach Perfect palette. You can see how tiny this palette is. I have my other Too Faced Cinnamon Spice palette in my bathroom because I used it the other day. For $48, that's really tiny for Fenty. I was expecting a little bigger of a palette. And then on the back of the palette, you have these two grooves here. So if you do have her snap shadow palettes, you can snap it on. And then you have a little picture of the shade names included. Here's what the actual eyeshadow palette looks like. Really pretty colors. Great for every day, and it does come with a decent sized mirror. Here's what all 12 shades look like in the palette. They're divided into quads. The first quad is Fussy, the one in the middle is Fenty Glow, and the last quad is Hot Chocolate. Let's start with the first shade in Vanilla Cake. It feels very smooth and soft in the pan. Here's what the shade in Vanilla Cake looks like. A little bit lackluster. The second shade is called Ballerina. Again, super smooth in the pan. I'm gonna go over this. Okay, that's a little bit better. I was surprised on Sephora's website and Fenty's website that they don't have any shade descriptions. Like, it doesn't say the first shade is a cream shade, the second shade is a sparkling pink shade. Normally there's a description that describes the shadow. I'm actually surprised that there isn't any description describing any of these shades. Definitely wanted to point that out. The third shade in the palette is called Cinnabutta. I'm just gonna go over it with my finger again. The next shade is called La Bronze. That swatched quite nicely. Again, I'm just gonna go over it. There we go. The next shade is called Nude Beach. That one I expected a little bit more pigmentation. Last shade in the top row is called Beverly Chills. The shimmer swatched really nicely. The first shade in the bottom row is Fussy. Really nice pigmentation. Next up we have Rock and Rose. Again, not as pigmented as I would like it to be. I'm gonna go over it once more with a little bit more product. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. The next shade is Fenty Glow. Super buttery, very pigmented. Next up, we have Bare Buns. Again, it's not as pigmented. The next shade is called Hot Chocolate. Yeah, the shimmers are very pigmented. The last shade in the palette is called Get This Bread. Again, the pigmentation of the mattes, not my favorite. Here's what all 12 shadows look like swatched on the back of my hand. So far from the swatches, I'm not a huge fan of the matte shadows. The shimmer shadows are super buttery, very pigmented in the pan. Taking a fluffy brush, we're gonna dip into the second shadow in the bottom row. It's called Rock and Rose. We're gonna apply this in our crease, going back and forth using windshield wiper motions. have to go back and apply a couple of layers to build up the pigment. Taking a flat brush, we're going to dip into the third shade in Cinnabutta. Apply this all over the lid. Taking a clean fluffy brush, we're going to dip into the shadow in Bare Buns. Placing the shadow in my outer V, doing circular motions just to give it a little bit of depth. Using my finger, we're going to dip into the shadow in Beverly Chills. Apply this on my outer V, doing a patting motion. I expected a little bit more pigmentation on my eyes, but it's looking a little bit sloppy and there's a ton of fallout. But no problem, we'll definitely clean that up later. Taking a flat brush, we're going to dip into the shadow in Le Bronze. Apply this to the center of my lid, blending in with the shadow in Beverly Chills. I'm having a hard time with the shimmer shadows staying on my eyelids. They swatch really nicely on the back of my hand. For some reason, they're not super pigmented on my eyelid. I'm going to wet my brush with a little bit of setting spray, and then we'll go back in with the shadow in Le Bronze. Okay, there we go. Now I'm getting the pigmentation I want, and it's actually staying on the eyelid. I have to go back in and do the same thing for the shadow in Beverly Chills. Shimmer shadows should not be super hard to work with, but this was very difficult. Even after I wet my brush, I'm going to zoom you guys in so you guys can see. Here's what we're looking like. The shimmer shadow on this eye is a little bit chunkier. Taking a clean brush, we're going to dip into the shadow in Fenty Glow. Apply this where there's no shadow and drag it down just a little bit. I'm actually disappointed with this eyeshadow palette. I expected more from the shimmer shadows. I expected 3 different shimmer shadows and it looks like one shadow. Plus the chunkiness of the shimmer shadow is bothering me, so I don't know how I'm gonna fix it. Taking a clean pointed pencil brush, we're gonna dip into the shadow in Ballerina. Apply this in my inner corner. I think that looks a little bit better, but I'm disappointed with the eye look. I did not like how this formula performed on the eyes. I did like how it swatched on the back of my hand. I would not recommend this eyeshadow palette for $48. The quality is not there. It's not a good palette at all. I have tried Fenty's eyeshadow palettes in the past. I've tried her Moroccan Spice eyeshadow palette, the Fenty Snap Shadows. All of Fenty's previous palettes were not good quality at all. She needs somebody else on her eyeshadow palette team. Her complexion products are great. Her lip products are great. Well, some of her lip products are great, not all of them. Like the Shine one, I did not like that. $22 were super expensive. I love the formula of the Stena lip paints. Those are amazing. Another thing I do want to point out in this eyeshadow palette is that some of the shades do seem redundant. Like this shadow here and this shade here, they do look similar in the palette. I don't think they needed to add these 2 shadows. Same thing with this shadow here and this shade here. They're very similar in the pan. I don't think they needed to add 2 similar shadows in this palette. I'm going to finish up the eye look by adding mascara. This is new from Rare Beauty. I just got the sample size. I didn't purchase the full size because I wanted to try it out first. It's an okay mascara. It's doing its job. For lips, I'm going to apply the Tower 28 Shine On Lip Jelly in the shade Almond. Here's what everything looks like. Again, for $48, I would not recommend this eyeshadow palette. If you guys have tried this palette, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video.